Day 4 of visiting Aeluma's headquarters. I think today I'm just gonna walk right in, see if they'll give me a tour. Ooh, good morning, Aeluma. Working hard? We're hardly working. What do you know? It's 8:30 in the morning. There's not a single person in here. Excuse me, sensing what? I think we have the first employee showing up at just after 8:30. Ooh, interesting. One employee in the office at 8:30, and you think you're gonna beat $250 million R&D budget on silicon carbide, wolf speed. Interesting. And the second employee has arrived. And one just left and was filming me the entire time, so I do think that's really funny. Let me go just walk right in, because I'm sure there's gonna be something that's gonna say I cannot come on here anymore. Boop. Anyone gonna come out? Nobody even answered the door. So, I don't know. As a public company, you deserve some scrutiny, especially because the investment banks aren't gonna give it to you. So if they're upset that I'm on, public land, they can say something about me walking up to the door. And then I just won't do that anymore. But I'm on public land, I'm just seeing if anyone works. Like, that's completely within my right and reason. Up until this point, I haven't talked about the technology at all. I'm gonna write that up on Substack, but what the CEO says is that he can do silicon carbide for cheaper and more scalable than indium phosphide. And it's like, yeah, duh. Sourcing indium phosphide's hard. There's a reason why they do it. That's the only way that you can get narrow line width lasers at this point in time. Silicon carbide, it's more durable. It can be used in EVs. It can be used in transformers. It is not a solution for data centers. So when you go through everything that he's said, first of all, LiDAR, who gives a shit about LiDAR? He goes through and he says like, oh, we're going to go into data centers. We're going to go into this, go into that. It's like, excuse me, why is the leader in silicon carbide, which is wolf speed, why are they not going after those same markets? Like, is your silicon carbide that much better out of, a shithole, looks like a public school classroom, headquarters? No, I don't think so. And I'm a little bit irritated because, you film somebody on the street like that. And I'm going to do my research even harder, and I am petty like that because, quite frankly, if it had anything to do with the stock price, I would go find out, middle school crushes and whether or not they're pregnant. I would set my hinge setting to all genders. You have no idea the lengths that I will go to make sure that my information is correct if I think that it's alpha. And second employee has come in, right? Do we miss him? Nope, there he is. This company is grifted for a $350 million market cap, 25% owned by insiders, and there's stock promoters that are probably paid all over the internet. Go around, go look, go read the research reports, read them from Craig Hallam if you can get access to them, Benchmark, Roth. All of these guys don't know shit about the technology. I'm sure they have not visited this headquarters because nobody would underwrite $37 million in equity issuance to that thing. I'm no longer allowed on the property as this has gotten pretty hot pretty fast. The officers were super nice. I explained to them exactly what I was doing. They said, I'm fine here. I can't be on that corner. I can't go knock on the door, do anything like that. And it is what it is. But this is a public company. Like I said, in silicon carbide, there's Sumitomo, there's, coherence in silicon carbide. And the claims that this company is making and the fact that 2 employees have come in by 9:05 is fairly interesting. What I'm going to do is get that report, ideally the dash cam, because I think that would be really funny. So stay tuned for this series. And by the way, I've tried to reach them. They have a number. I've tried calling Clemkin. I would like to be wrong. I would like to be wrong because then less retail would get hurt. Maybe has potential. Maybe people can make money. But right now, the only people are making money are the CEO and the insiders that are selling. My thesis on Aeluma is that this is a press release company that is a cushy job for a professor that also has a cushy job and runs the conference circuits. He understands the technology, not how to get it to scale or beat the big, massive, extremely good technologists that are in the space of photonics. The R&D budgets do not matter. Many of what you're paid for by DARPA is not commercializable, or you will not get revenue from that. Just because you pull in somebody that used to work at Lumentum as a VP of finance or whatever the board is, right, doesn't mean that you have a legitimate company. Claim that their SAM, their serviceable market, is in the multiple billions of dollars. Like, he's named a couple at least billion-dollar SAMs that he thinks he's going to get most of it. That is basically the opposite of the Peter Thiel thing, which is like 0 to 1. Go do one market really well, dominate it, and then if you can parlay that into other markets, like, okay, but do one thing really well. He's saying that he's going to doing all of these multi-billion-dollar markets, and therefore everyone is sold on the potential that is a bull on this stock. But in reality, people don't understand how much capital it takes and R&D and how big of a team and how smart of a team you have to build and how motivated of a team you have to build, as it's now 9/11 and only 2 employees have been into the office. I wake up at 4 a.m. I get it. Market hours, like, you don't have to do that. But if you're getting in at 9:30, you better be staying until 6. And like, we know they don't work early, they don't work late. There's not many of them that actually go into the office, even though LinkedIn says there's 13 employees in the area. Toyon employees have said that it's only 4 that they've ever seen go in there. I've seen 2. You are a Toyon employee. I have some questions. Mr. Klemkin, I have some questions, and I hope you would answer them. As somebody who's trying to learn how you're claiming, and you're a professor, how you're claiming that silicon carbide can go into data centers. What is the line width that you've showed? The last data that I've seen you put out was a year ago. I might have missed something. I'm happy to be corrected on my viewpoints. I would also like to ask you about the governance. What is exactly the CEO of this that says, okay, well, you guys can come into the office sometime for a high-tech hardware business that you say is going to disrupt and capture the majority of multi-billion-dollar businesses? I would like to know the capital equation that Craig Hallam didn't ask you. How much money do you need to achieve these goals? Is it going to be permanent dilution for retail? And what are your plans for your shares, as you've sold millions of dollars worth, and I imagine that's more than you've ever made in your life? Why do you keep on selling on a company that you're going around and saying, is the future of photonics in every single conference? And why is an angel investor who's already made multiples on his money still continuing to sell, even though it's house money? These are typical questions. You should be able to field them very well and talk about your technology as somebody who's not an engineer, right? You should be able to dunk on me on this. I've been a photonics investor for 6 years. I'm an analyst. Quite frankly, a CEO and a professor and a PhD should be able to school me on the tech, and I'm open to it. I want to know about these lasers. I want to know about these materials. And I think ultimately these are the types of questions that should be asked for a publicly traded company.